سرطانیه حتما باید برکنده شود و خواهد شد.
Happy Friday the 13th, people. Yes, it is June 13th, 2025. I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. We are live on a Friday. No panel show for you today because I don't know if you have been paying attention to the news, but there is a lot to talk about it. We canceled the guests and we said, Dave, do it yourself. For God's sakes, there's a lot to get to. Holy cow, today is a great day. It is a day that will be remembered a long, long time from now as a day that the world started to get set right. Obviously, I'm talking about the Israeli attack on the Iranian nuclear facilities and what I think is going to be a whole new Middle East, which is going to lead to a whole new world, and not World War III, and not the sky is falling, and not the hysteria that a certain set of people have been going for. And there's just so much to unpack. It's really spectacular. Quick reminder, if you have not subscribed yet, the subscribers just blew up this week from our little push here, but the goal is to get to 3 mil. I think we're going to crack it by August 1st by the time I go off the grid. So please click that subscribe button if you have not on YouTube, locals, etc., etc. And the theme is pretty freaking obvious today. Last night, it started around about 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. The Israeli strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities and going after some of their nuclear scientists, etc., began. Iran, obviously, which has been the leading state sponsor of terror for decades, which put Hezbollah, took over Lebanon, which obviously was financing Hamas, had terror proxies all over the world that were blowing up things in Europe and in South America and everywhere else. The constant chants of death to America, death to Israel, death to England, and everything else. And I guess really what that all leads to is the theme of today's show, which is just stop fucking with the Jews. Just leave the Jews alone. Let them be. They'll let you be. Enough of this bullshit. And really a renewed America right now. This is all thanks, one way or another. We'll unpack a little bit in terms of how much direct involvement there was, whether it was a wink or a bit more from the Trump administration vis-a-vis what Israel did. But that America leading again leads to good things. The bad guys start crumbling, the good guys start getting emboldened, and I genuinely believe this. We are on the precipice of a whole new world right now. It's not going to be easy, and there's going to be a lot of people that would love to fray that, and who knows about proxies that they have out there and lone wolves and the rest of it. But this is a really good day. It also is, it's not, and by the way, if you're an Iranian watching this, and we do have some people that are able to watch, I think through VPNs and stuff in Iran, this is a good day for you. Like the mullah's going down, you have a chance to take your country back. And if you look at the pictures of what Iran used to look like before they took over, it was a largely liberal democracy where women were treated fairly and could go out on the beach in whatever they wanted to wear and didn't have to wear the beekeepers' costumes and everything else. Interestingly, and then I'll move on, do you know what the second largest country, the second country with the most transgender surgeries is? You guys know? Anyone want to take a guess? I guess, yeah, it's Iran. And you know why? Because they hate gays so much that they would rather, if there's a gay couple, they will basically switch one into a woman as opposed to just letting them be gay. Like it's just another piece of the layer of insanity. Anyway, let's just dive in. As you can see there is a lot going on here. We'll talk a little bit about, at the end of the show, some of the stuff that's happening here, because our plan today originally, I had Andy Noem on, who's like the expert of experts in terms of Antifa and craziness on our street. So we'll do a bit more of what's going on in LA right at the end, but it's a lot of paper here. Who's in charge of buying paper? We have to buy more paper. Here we go from Fox News. Some hope that President Donald Trump's administration would be able to make headway in nuclear negotiations where the Biden administration and others in the international community could not. Negotiations between Washington and Tehran, mediated by Oman, resumed in Muscat on April 12th, and Trump repeatedly called on Netanyahu not to hit Tehran and to let negotiations proceed. Following the first round of talks, Middle East Special Envoy Steve Witkoff told Fox News that the U.S. was looking to limit Iran's uranium enrichment to 3.67%, a level generally used for civilian nuclear energy needs. Under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which Trump pulled out of in 2018, Iran committed to maintaining no more than this level of enrichment until 2031, though it has been found to have repeatedly violated this agreement. By the next day, on April 15th, Witkoff backtracked his comments and said in a statement that Iran must stop and eliminate its nuclear enrichment and weaponization program. 4 days later, the U.S. entered its second round of nuclear talks in Rome on April 19th, before a third round was held in Muscat on April 26th. Both sides expressed optimism following the talks. Talks appeared to take a turn after the U.S. hit Iran with another round of sanctions in late April, which resulted in the postponement of the previously scheduled May 3rd talks. The fourth round of talks began to show signs of strain when Iran described negotiations as difficult but useful, and Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi made clear that Washington's zero enrichment demand was non-negotiable. By early June, Trump and Iranian leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had repeatedly made clear that they both would refuse to bend when it came to the issue of enrichment, but a sixth round of talks was still set for June 15th in Oman. So basically, the basics, that's a lot of insider baseball stuff. The basics are that there were negotiations. Trump was trying to let the negotiations happen. You might argue the negotiations were all a smokescreen. Maybe they were. We will find out more about all of that. And maybe at some point the Americans said, or Trump or whoever was basically like, look, these guys are not going to stop. They want uranium. They want a bomb. That's very clear. They've been paying terror proxies and funding all of this mayhem all over the world. And they are simply not going to stop. So we'll have more on what seems like at least some back-channel coordination with Bibi and Trump in just a moment. But here is Ayatollah Khamenei, great guy Khamenei. He doesn't have many friends today. This is a man who lost a lot of his friends, just like Rashida Tlaib. These are two people who have a lot of less friends than they did yesterday. Here he's talking about Trump, about how what Trump says about Iran is terrible and shameful. This is obviously before the attack.
بعضی از این حرفایی که در این سفر رئیس جمهور آمریکا به منطقه مطرح شد لایق جواب دادن نیست اصلا. اینقدر سطح حرف پایینه که مایه سرفکندگی گوینده حرف و مایه سرفکندگی ملت آمریکاست. اونا رو کار نداره.
Okay, so the other reason I'm showing you that is really more so to illustrate the crowd that he's talking to. I mean, you can see a certain level of obvious brainwashing. You know, I talk about the NPCs here that just go along with whatever they're told. In some sense, I have sympathy with these people who don't even know what freedom is. I'm not talking about the mullahs themselves, but the people who are just brainwashed, the women who are forced to wear those clothes and have their rights just completely stripped away from them and all of those things. But all Iran had to do over the last couple of years, or let's just say post-October 7th, was just stop saying we're going to destroy Israel. Stop saying we are going to, they're literally saying we're not going to build nukes, but we also want to blow them off the map. Stop funding Hezbollah. You know who's really happy today, and we'll have more on this in a little bit? It's all of the other countries in the Middle East. They're not going to just wander around. Most of them aren't going to give Israel the public round of applause. But you think the Lebanese are happy today? The Lebanese, who once had a largely, I think, 80% Christian country. It was taken over by Hezbollah, a Shiite organization that was funded by Iran that basically caused their country's destruction because all they wanted to do was destroy Israel. They're pretty happy today. You think the Saudis are happy today? The UAE, Qataris, even, like all of these countries that want their own borders and they want to flourish, they're happy that the chief source of the evil. Remember Trump's speech a month ago when he went over to the Middle East? He was basically like, hey, get on the train. Let's all do this together. You can have your own customs and traditions and your own countries, right? We're not going to force anything on you, but you can't be exporting terror. So once again, this is somewhat consistent with what we were talking about yesterday. Trump sort of being consistent with what he has said over the years. What did he say at a domestic level? I'm going to deport these people, and now he's doing it. What's he doing at an international level? He's doing exactly what he said, which is if you don't get on board that we're going to have peace, you're going to be on the outs. And he is. You know, a guy that has been way ahead of most people on the Ayatollah is Homer Simpson. Do you remember this from around 1992 at the garage sale? Remember? There was the garage sale in Springfield. Ayatollah Assahola. The team was 50-50 on whether to show that. I overrode them. I leave it to you guys to decide whether it was worth it. Here is a video, an interesting video, of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. What year did you say this was from? So this is 2018. I think this will really, 2019, sorry. I think this will really help frame the show today. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman talking about what the Ayatollah's intentions are. And this is why you can see a new Middle East is on the horizon, because we've basically taken out the really bad actor here. Listen to this.
Iran is not a rival to Saudi Arabia. Its army is not among the top 5 armies in the Muslim world. The Saudi economy is larger than the Iranian economy. Iran is far from being equal to Saudi Arabia.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Saudi Arabia does not want to acquire any nuclear bomb. But without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is about 7 years ago. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Saudi Arabia is perfect, and they have their own issues with the strain of Wahhabism that radicalizes all sorts of people, but they have started to moderate. And if you remember, about a week before October 7th, 2023, what was all of the talk all over the world? It was that Saudi Arabia and Israel were about to normalize, and Iran saw that. And then I think you can directly connect that to the events of October 7th, which, by the way, Biden had just released. Remember that non-fungible money that we had given back to the mullahs. So there's something there. But the point here is that even if the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he's not saying, oh, Khomeini is Hitler because he doesn't like the Jews, right? Like, put the Jews aside for a sec. He's saying he's Hitler because Hitler wanted to expand, right? He wanted greater Germany and greater. That has been the goal, too, of Iran, which is why they've put an army like Hezbollah in Lebanon, et cetera, et cetera. So putting aside Israel and the Jews for a second, the Saudis did not want this either. And if the Iranians were to get a nuclear bomb, it starts a crazed nuclear race. Most people think that Israel has nukes. It's not a declared situation, but most people think they have it. But no one thinks Israel's threatening anyone with nukes. It's purely deterrence. But if the Iranians were to get the bomb, while they're saying we're going to blow Israel off the map, well, then the Saudis might be like, we're in some deep doo-doo too, and then we have to get it too. So this is all very, very good. So now let's get into some of the details of what happened yesterday. This is from the Times of Israel. Decades of Israeli warnings against Iran's nuclear program and preparations for military action to thwart it culminated early Friday morning with the Jewish state launching a major offensive attack against the Islamic Republic, striking nuclear sites, military facilities, missile bases, and senior leadership. Jerusalem said it had engaged in a precise preemptive strike against Iran, declaring it an imminent threat from its nuclear program and announcing a domestic state of emergency as citizens braced for retaliation. Over 200 Israeli Air Force aircraft were involved in the opening strikes, and fighter jets dropped over 330 munitions on some 100 targets, the IDF said. The operation, dubbed Rising Lion, was directed at Iran's nuclear program. The military assessed Iran currently has enough enriched uranium to build 15 nuclear bombs, as well as its ballistic missile factories and its primary capabilities. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the military said. So look, what's interesting about this, and we're going to have more obviously on the specifics here, is that Israel does not want to destroy Iran. Netanyahu has been saying for years, the people of Iran are not the enemy. It's the mullahs who are trying to wipe out Israel. So note, Israel did not do what most of its enemies do, which is just launch crazed rockets, right, all over the place and just try to kill as many people as possible. They went for the nuclear sites. They went for the nuclear scientists. They did incredibly precise things. We're going to show you one in a minute, but here's just a compilation of some of the Israeli strikes on the nuclear facilities.
اینجا رو زدن، اینجا رو هم زدن، این لحویزانم زدن پشتم زدن پشت رویزانم زدن.
Okay, so these were highly targeted strikes. They didn't go for malls, they didn't go for schools or anything else. They went for military targets and the people that were in charge of it. If you want to see how precise it is, Dr. Eli David, I had him on the show when we were in Israel, not this past time, but a year before, who is an Israeli entrepreneur, really brilliant guy. Look at this, what he put up. It's really extraordinary. This is how precise Israel's intelligence and execution is. Pinpointed attack at eliminating the head of the IRGC directly in his apartment, nearly 2,000 kilometers away from Israel. They were able to target that guy, know exactly where he was. I mean, this is such an extraordinary level of intelligence, and we will find out more. This is very much like the beeper thing, like how the high hell did they do it? How much planning was there? How much coordination on the ground? I mean, it's just absolutely extraordinary. And again, they didn't just carpet bomb the place, which is exactly what Iran, we're going to wipe you off the map. That means we're going to kill all your women and children and all of that stuff. They did not do that. They did a targeted pinpoint precision operation that they've been working on for quite some time. Here's more from the IDF. We can now confirm that the chief of staff of the Iranian armed forces, commander of the IRGC, and commander of Iran's emergency command were all eliminated in the Israeli strikes across Iran by more than 200 fighter jets. These are three ruthless mass murderers with international blood on their hands. The world is a better place without them. I should say, as a sidebar to all of this, as Iran basically is taken out and Hezbollah is gone and the Houthis are basically gone, what this really does, because the thing that gets us, the entire world on the other side of all of this, is ending the Gaza situation, right? Well, now, who's going to fund them? Who's putting money over there? Who's going to keep giving them weapons? The pressure on those psycho jihadists in that little tiny enclave is going to be so great that I don't know. I don't want to predict it. I don't want to be too Pollyannish here, but that thing could wrap up pretty quickly too if they can get those 20 hostages out. And then Hamas is like, yeah, we got nobody's backing us anymore. We are screwed. And how do we know nobody's backing them? Because all the people backing them are dying. This is from Disclosed TV. Just in, Iranian state media confirms Revolutionary Guard Chief Salami, not Baloney, Salami, killed in Israeli strike. Did you ever have fried salami? I think I had that in Nashville once. Anyway, this is from the White House. A statement from Marco Rubio. Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Look, that's a super strong statement. Again, we're going to find out a little bit more about how much coordination there was. Was there a little bit of a smoke screen going on that Bibi and Trump were doing as it pertained to these negotiations? Did it get to a point even just a few days ago where finally they were like, boy, the Iranians are just not acting in good faith? We don't know all of the answers to those things, but I do think it's worth noting and worth repeating what Rubio said right there. America was not asked to drop a bomb. America was not asked to send a soldier or anything else. It probably had some level of ancillary support, right? Whether that's intelligence or whatever it might be on the ground, but no troops or blood was spilled here. Israel was doing what it had to do to protect its national interests, which is what I would say every single country should do. If you're being threatened by a nuclear power whose stated goal repeatedly at parties is death to you, you got to do what you got to do. Here's another one from Dr. Eli David. Breaking. Israeli sources confirm that U.S. was fully coordinated with Israel, and Trump's public statement calling Israel not to attack was part of the coordinated deception. Thank you, President Trump, for standing with Israel. Okay, so that's why I'm saying there's some level of smokescreen here or some stuff that will sort of shake out right now. And we'll have a little more evidence on that in just a second. But so whether there was coordination or whether it was a shell game to confuse the Iranians or whatever, again, no Americans were asked to do anything. It was just give Israel a chance to do this absolutely crazy operation. This from Donald Trump. I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told, that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. God bless you all. So you can see the way the American messaging is going out is a little confusing, right? Because Rubio's saying we had nothing to do with it. Trump's basically saying, well, it's not that we bombed anybody, we didn't press a button, but we were basically telling the Israelis, hey, if these MFers don't honor their deal or get close to what we want or give up the enrichment, then you're going to do what you got to do. This is another one, and this is, I think, the key one from Donald Trump. 2 months ago today, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. I told them what to do, but they couldn't get there. Now they have perhaps a second chance. So that seems to be it more than anything else. And this is what strong foreign policy looks like. Nobody wants war. I don't want war. I don't think the Israelis want war. As a matter of fact, I know it because I was just there, and everybody there, nobody wants war. They would like to be left alone. They would prefer rockets not be shot into their territory. They would prefer that jihadists not kidnap their women, et cetera, et cetera. And if you say that you're going to destroy them and you're occasionally shooting rockets, as the Iranians do, they're going to do what they got to do. But no sane person wants war. But the way you stop war is not saying, oh my God, I'm against war. You stop war, you stop bad people by speaking softly and carrying a big stick. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did right here, right? He gave them 60 days. He gave them 60 days, halt the uranium, get to the table, let's get to something real. Stop with the rhetoric and everything else. And then it's as clear as day. I mean, this is the exact same thing with Trump and the border and the deportations. 60 days. What did we do on 61? He came through, right? What's he doing with the deportations? He's coming through. He's doing exactly what is promised. And I really, really believe, not only is this not leading to World War III, this is probably stopping World War III, because Iran had got the nuke. Saudi Arabia gets the nuke. There's a constant, it would be basically Russia and the United States in the 80s in this constant state of Cold War, who's going to bomb who first. We'd be in a sort of nonstop Cuban Missile Crisis, just in the Mediterranean instead. And I think there's an unbelievable chance and an incredible horizon right in front of us for true worldwide peace, to whatever extent that is actually a real thing, not a utopian dream, but a real thing. We'll have more on that in just a second, but first, Hillsdale College. Have you ever heard someone say capitalism is evil, or tried to define it yourself only to realize it's more complicated than it seems? That's why I'm taking Hillsdale College's free online course, Understanding Capitalism. In just 7 lectures, it breaks down what capitalism really is, how it works, why it depends on freedom and property rights, and why it actually promotes morality. It's one of over 40 free courses Hillsdale offers on everything from the Constitution to ancient history. No costs, no catch. Go to hillsdale.edu/Dave to sign up for Understanding Capitalism today. That's hillsdale.edu/Dave. Connor, am I allowed to quote myself on this show? Can I quote Dave Rubin? Dave Rubin wrote this on Twitter yesterday. I thought it was quite good. The mullahs decided destroying Israel was more important than a prosperous Iran. Israel didn't want war, but they also didn't want their own eradication. So Israel will do what it must, and most of the world will be thankful, even if they don't say it. Can I quote myself again? I can? Okay. Israel is doing the work. No need for America to lift a finger. And that's a quote tweet of Dr. Eli David, who I just referenced, breaking reports that the entire top brass of the IRGC have been eliminated. And the reason I'm quoting myself, which I know is it's a little of this, it's a little patting on the back, is the point is you pushed them far enough, and now they did what they had to do, and it's not going to lead to World War III or any of the other hysterics that so many people said. All we had to do was just coordinate with them, coordinate with an ally who did not want to be holocausted once again. Yoram Hazony, who I've had on the show a few times, he is an Israeli conservative he is really the creator, the original creator of NatCon. And NatCon, National Conservative Conference, I've spoke there a few times. That really is, I think, the sort of main foreign policy you could say, sort of brain trust behind the Trump foreign policy. J.D. Vance is very intimately involved with that. And Yoram wrote this from Jerusalem. He wrote this last night. Israel attacks Iran tonight because we believe Iran is assembling nuclear weapons to be used against us. This is not an assessment of one Israeli political figure or party. It represents a consensus here in Jerusalem. Anyone saying this attack is an affront to the United States is serving Iranian regime propaganda, whether out of gullibility or malice. Israelis love the United States and especially revere President Trump and his administration. No one has been better to us than President Trump. Israelis are grateful for all he has done for us. But President Trump understands what some clearly do not, that it is Israel's responsibility to protect its people against a fanatical regime that has sought to destroy us using every means at its disposal. If we chose to attack a potential arsenal of between 10 to 15 nuclear weapons before they can be made ready for use, we are only doing what any other nation in the world would do in our shoes, protecting our country and our people against a clear and present danger that cannot be dealt with in any other way. My love and gratitude go out to my many friends in America, Europe, and Asia, both those who know that they would do the same if they were in our place and those who cannot fully see this yet. We are all of us brothers in a war against forces that openly and shamelessly seek our annihilation. Whatever happens in this Israeli-Iranian war, we will still be brothers and we will still have much work to do together when it is ended. I look forward to seeing you all again on the other side. You know, there's a slight chill to that, obviously, because as he was tweeting that, everyone was waiting for an Iranian response. And it does appear, at least at the moment, that the Israeli attack was so overwhelming and so with such pinpoint precision that there was no real response, right? There wasn't 300 rockets or 800 rockets then fired from Iran, which is what they did a couple months ago, right? So now we will see. Could they have lone wolves? Could they have terrorism cells? Like, there is a bunch of stuff that we might see. But he was tweeting that, thinking that, you know, a rocket could basically explode over his house at any moment. And fortunately, that did not happen. It also is worth noting that, again, what he's saying there is true. And I believe this for any country on earth. If you had a country that was saying, we are going to destroy you, our goal is to destroy you, we are working on weapons to destroy you, it is our intent, and it really is our whole reason for existence, right? We want to expand our borders and we want to destroy you. Well, what would you do? I mean, just think about if it was your neighbor and he just kept encroaching on your property and saying, I'm going to kill you. What would you do? Dave Rubin also had this banger yesterday. Rough day for the methed up Israel-hating psychos and their Twitter pals. I'm gonna just leave that one there. Amjad Taha, who's a great Middle East commentator, I think he's from the UAE, he wrote this, I thought it was quite good. Congratulations. Today, the Middle East, including the brave and silenced people of Iran, celebrates and stands firmly with Israel as it strikes the heart of the Islamic regime's nuclear ambitions and long-range missile arsenals. The regime has not only targeted Tel Aviv, it has bled Yemen, poisoned Syria, bullied Iraq, and bombed its own people. They turned the name of Islam into a threat and diplomacy into blackmail. It traded prayers for payloads. But tonight, history changes course. In this defining moment, humanity stands not only against a nation, but with its people and against the tyrants who defiled them. This is not just Israel's battle. It is the world's reckoning with a regime that sanctified terror and weaponized faith. As it is written in the Torah, when you go out to battle against your enemies, do not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is with you. Deuteronomy 21. And as the book of Psalms declares, the wicked draw the sword and bend the bow to bring down the poor and needy, but their sword shall pierce their own heart. Psalm 37, 14, 15. This is not vengeance, this is vision. This is not destruction, this is deliverance. Congratulations, Israel, you stood alone, now the free world stands with you. From the smokes of Auschwitz to the shadows of Tehran, you never begged to exist. You fought to live and you rose to protect. And you have proven once again the Jewish spirit does not break, it builds. That is from someone in the UAE. He is a great political commentator. I mean, I wish I could write that well. That was really beautiful, particularly at the end. So where are we? Is he right? Is he right? Did Israel just reset the world so the bad guys are finally and officially on their back foot? Well, I think he did. So remember the video we just showed you a moment ago with Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman? He was the one that was basically saying that Iran is the new Hitler-like regime. Again, forgetting the Jew stuff because they wanted to expand, which is exactly what he wanted to do. Well, you know who agrees with him? My friend Clay Travis, who originally was a sports guy, but now makes more sense politically than anyone on CNN, I promise you that. He wrote this: Israel wiped out Hamas and Hezbollah, two Iranian terror proxies, after October 7th. Syria, a puppet state of Iran under Assad, then fell. Iran has never been weaker in our lives. Now is the time for Israel to strike, and most Muslim countries in the Middle East quietly agreed. And again, that's the point. You don't get the major claps. They're not going to get all the major claps because unfortunately they've used Israel as the boogeyman, most of the Muslim countries, while they abuse their own people. That is largely changing, particularly with the Gulf states led by the UAE. That's what brought the Abraham Accords around. Once you had countries that were flourishing, they realized, oh, we don't have to just blame everything on the Jews anymore. And then you can get more and more people into these expanded Abraham Accords. Now I want to show you a video. This is from March of 24. So this is from just over a year ago. So this is post October 7th, right? All the war in Gaza, which is still going on, is at the height of it a year ago, right? And here's Jared Kushner, who was one of the architects of the Abraham Accords, talking about how this can just be the beginning and you could get Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Indonesia, and many more on board. And then hot diggity damn, as Palpatine said, then we shall have peace.
Speaking with both Jews and Muslims who are navigating the dynamics caused by the current conflict left me more positive than ever that the Abraham Accords have the foundation to prosper and expand across additional nations, including Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Indonesia, and many, many more to come.
Wouldn't that be something? You know, before Trump came around and everyone had to decide, oh, if you hate Trump, Trump says something, I automatically disagree with it, I automatically hate him. Everyone used to be for Middle East peace. But the only way you could get to Middle East peace, the only way you can get to peace anywhere is you have to remove the people who don't want peace. Israel's always extended its hand. Hey, can we have peace with you guys? Just stop trying to kill us and we'd like to have peace with you. It can be a cold peace, right? They have a pretty cold peace with Egypt. It's a pretty cold peace with Jordan. It's not like they send their citizens over there for vacation, really. Occasionally someone goes and often they get killed. But you can have a cold peace. Like, we're just not going to endlessly hate each other. But the only way that works is if you get rid of the main drivers of the violence, and that was Iran. I thought this video is quite good. This is just a quick compilation of what's going on in Qatar, Dubai, Israel, and Riyadh if you want to see what a future Middle East could look like, and it could be pretty bright.
سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم. اذكر الله بهذا الذكر في طريقك وفي مسيرك وفي سيارتك وفي كل مكان ويكفيك من فضل
Let's remove borders, nationality, religion, and the rest of it for a second. What do you think all those people in those cities want? Not all of them. What do you think the large bulk of the people in those cities want? They want peace. They want an ability to build a family, have some success. They want hopefully some degree of freedom. Again, they can have their own religious beliefs and whatever else it might be. But if you want human flourishing, you have to, it's not just that you can be for peace, you have to stop the people who want to destroy it. And that seemingly is what has happened here. And there is a new horizon. It is right on the edge, guys. Do you see it? And it's going to take work now. There's going to be a lot of bad actors who are going to try to exacerbate the situation. As I said at the beginning, who knows what's going to happen with lone wolves? We know that Iran has used terror proxies around the world, particularly in South America, to do all sorts of acts of terrorism. So who knows what they have in store? But there is a brief moment right now where, because America either winked or tacitly said to Israel, do what you got to do, and Israel went ahead and did it, all of those countries in the Middle East are now safer. From Israel to Saudi Arabia to UAE, even Turkey, like everybody is safer right now, having a less violent and less capable to destroy them Iran. So this is extremely, extremely good. We will connect this, or at least try to connect it to what's going on back here in the United States of America in just a second. But first, Block Trust IRA. When the financial elite quietly build their wealth through crypto, everyday Americans have been left out until now. Block Trust IRA is changing that. I've partnered with them because they're using cutting-edge AI to empower hardworking Americans with the same wealth-building tools the establishment wants to keep out of your hands. Their Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, executing advanced crypto strategies far beyond buy and hold. No surprise it was named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine, beating out over 1,500 competitors worldwide. Whether you're a teacher, trucker, small business owner, or retiree watching inflation eat your savings, Block Trust IRA is giving you a way to fight back. Backed by military-grade security and up to $200 million in insurance. Clients are seeing returns of over 250%, and right now they're offering up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you open an account. Visit DaveRubinCrypto.com to join the financial revolution and claim what's rightfully yours. That's DaveRubinCrypto.com. All right, so let's put a pin in all that for now. We're going to jump back here to the United States of America, where there is some weird stuff happening, and we've got a judicial fight, actually, that is, I would say, as dangerous as anything else going on right now. Check this out from America First Oversight. Federal judge orders Trump to give National Guard command to Newsom. Pretty confident that this gets overturned and is your usual federal judge overstepping. So, we've seen many versions of this. Trump tries to deport people. Lower courts try to stop him. He tries to protect the border. Lower courts try to stop him. We have a fight right now. Some might call it a constitutional crisis between the federal government, that's the president of the United States, and the judicial branch. And the real question is, I'm for separation of powers, right? We want co- and equal branches of government, and we want checks and balances and all of those things. But can you have lower court judges that every time the president does something, if they don't like him, that they can basically hamper and stop him from doing what he was elected to do? That's different than if a ruling went to the Supreme Court, and could they potentially stop the president? The answer to that is yes. But if every time the president does something, some random activist judge is able to put an injunction on him, then we'll never be able to be governed as a people who elect somebody. Anyway, that judge made that decision. And here's Newsom, I would say, short-term temporarily appreciating it. It didn't really work out for him, but take a look.
So I'm very hopeful this order puts that in perspective, and hopefully Donald Trump will immediately back down. The courts have ruled on the guard. They will be back under my command, and he'll be relieved. Donald Trump will be relieved of his command at noon tomorrow.
Well, that lasted for about 5 minutes, because then this happened from Truth Donald Trump. The appeals court ruled last night that I can use the National Guard to keep our cities, in this case Los Angeles, safe. If I didn't send the military into Los Angeles, that city would be burning to the ground right now. We saved LA. Thank you for the decision. Okay, so the point here is, let's put aside what you think of the National Guard going in and everything else. The question really is about these lower court judges being able to make these massive decisions that potentially stop the president from being able to do things. So Newsom got his tiny little win. He was very excited. So I don't know if he was going to be in charge of the National Guard, what was he going to do with them? Because I guess he was just going to send them home and let the mayhem continue. I'm told, wait, do we have breaking news we have a breaking news response? It's a video. We have a breaking news response from Newsom, apparently as per Trump's response.
I shot me in the nuts, and now I'm losing a ball. Surgery is tomorrow.
You motherfuckers. You see what they did to me? On an important day like today, you throw me that curveball. Okay, so that was obviously not Gavin Newsom, although if he was shot in the nuts, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So that is some guy. Now you can play it again, because I did see the video earlier. It's some guy who apparently was protesting guys, and he got shot in the nuts, poor guy. Also, did you notice he has nail polish, of course?
I shot me in the nuts, and now I'm losing a ball. Surgery is tomorrow.
I think you're so funny. Nobody's getting lunch today. Stephen A. Smith, it's funny that the sports guys have become better political pundits than the political guys, but Stephen A. Smith, here he is just going off on Newsom for not deploying the National Guard himself.
If you were Gavin Newsom As the Wall Street Journal alluded to, you know what you could have done to alleviate this? Since you want to take the Trump administration to court and say that he had no business federalizing the National Guard, you could have called the National Guard. You could have made sure that law enforcement throughout the city of Los Angeles had a very strong, vibrant, conspicuous presence where it might have alleviated the possibility of him calling in, meaning Trump calling in the National Guards and the Marines. You could have done that, but you didn't. And because you didn't, you gave him the opening to do it. Because it makes you look like you're weak on crime, you're weak on lawlessness, you're weak on borders. All the things that got him elected, you're playing into his hand.
Stephen? Yes, you're right. Yes, of course he's right about all of those things. But Newsom is weak on all of these things. Newsom ushered in all of these things. Newsom wants all of these things, and he also wants the fight with Trump. So there's the Trump. The obvious fight is like just the general like Cali versus MAGA fight, right? The Newsom versus Trump fight. The less obvious one is the judicial fight that we are going through. But at the moment, it is going in our favor. And again, that's why we'll have to think about this. I'll have to think about it over the weekend. We'll come back with fresh eyes on Monday on all of this. But maybe they're really, we got to reset with the world when Donald Trump was elected. And then there was, a couple months where it was like, oh man, is he even going to take office? And then he took office and a lot of good things happened. And now there's been some weird stuff and all that. But there is a moment now. What if the Middle East really got reset? And what if we really finally crushed the woke thing and destroyed the Democrat Party and ended this desire that a certain set of people have to destroy the country? Imagine if we just put all of that behind us to the backdrop of, do you know what happens next year on July 4th? We turn 250 years old as a country. Wouldn't it be pretty cool if we were celebrating like, man, we got to 250 and we are better and stronger than ever? I actually think it's possible. I think 249 is looking pretty good in about 6 weeks or so. But 250 could be an unbelievable jumping off point into that golden age that we all want to get to. But there still are some people who want to stop us from getting there. One of them is California Senator Alex Padilla, who got smacked around yesterday. We'll have that in just a second. But first, Chef IQ. The hardest part of cooking meat? Standing over a hot griller stove, checking constantly, only to end up with half your steak overcooked and the other half still mooing. Not anymore. I got the Chef IQ Sense, and now I'm cooking like a pro. It's a smart, wireless cooking sensor. Think meat thermometer, but way more advanced. Just stick it in your steak, chicken, or fish. Enter what you're cooking in the Chef IQ app. Pick how you want it done, rare, medium, well, and that's it. Chef IQ Sense tracks everything in real time and sends an alert to your phone the moment your food is cooked perfectly. No more hovering, no more guessing, no more ruined dinners. Summer grilling season is here, and Chef IQ Sense is the ultimate Father's Day gift. And right now, during their flash sale, you can get 15% off. Go to chefiq.com and use promo code Rubin. That's chefiq.com, promo code Rubin. Okay, so if everybody, as I just said, if everyone could just like take a step back, if we could just stop trying to destroy the country, embolden the bad guys, like infuse culture with all of the worst ideas, then maybe we could get back to something sane. Unfortunately, the Democrat Party has gone so all in on this, and you know the quote from Jordan all the time that the left never knows when the left goes too far. They can't control themselves right now. So check this out. Yesterday, Noem was giving a speech in California about the LA riots, and California Senator Alex Padilla, if I'm not mistaken, he's the guy that replaced Kamala Harris, right? Alex Padilla then tried to approach her. He was not wearing any sort of official anything, so security would even know who he is, and he was not even dressed in a suit. He started trying to approach her while she was giving a talk, and watch what happened.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your ground.
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I'd put behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir.
All right, let me try to do this in the cleanest way possible. I would prefer that senators not be handcuffed and pushed out of rooms and everything else. You can't expect all of the security guards to know exactly who he is. And do you let, if a member of the cabinet is literally giving a speech, do you let a senator or anyone else just with no notice just start approaching the stage, right? Like, you have no idea what the security threats there. LA is a hot box right now of craziness. So they pushed him out there. They arrested the guy. Here's Dan Bongino on what happened. With regard to the incident in LA this afternoon, the senator in question was not wearing a security pin and physically resisted law enforcement when confronted. Our FBI personnel acted completely appropriately while assisting Secret Service, and we are grateful for their professionalism and service. So again, you get a pin, or I've been to some of these events. If you go to events with cabinet members, I was at Tulsi's swearing in, like, there are things where you go and then you get something that says, I'm someone that's supposed to be here right now. Or maybe if you're a senator or something else, you maybe get some other elite. We've all been to events. You get a freaking named card or a tag. You put something around your neck. It says, I'm supposed to be here. And I got in. I paid for my ticket, basically. He starts approaching. He's not wearing anything. Whether these guys know who he is or not, he's not supposed to be doing that. And if you think maybe they were being a bit much, whatever, I leave that to anyone to make their judgment on that. Now, interestingly, Padilla is going after her and questioning her and everything else. And how do you know it was about theatrics? Well, it turns out that Kristi Noem, she had met with him for 15 minutes before that.
I would say as we were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring peace to the city of Los Angeles, and this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. So as soon as he identified himself, appropriate actions were taken. But I would say that, I had a conversation with the senator after this. We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked about the fact that nobody knew who he was. He didn't say who he was, that until he had been lunging forward and people were trying to detain him for quite a period of time, and that this, we're leaders, we're public servants. And if he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation with him. That coming into a press conference like this is political theater. It's wrong, and it does a disservice to this country and the people who live here. So we sat down, had a conversation. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers. We'll continue to talk and share information, and I think that's the way it should be in this country. I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning instead.
You guys know I'm not above a quick correction. I did misspeak there. They didn't speak beforehand, as I implied. They spoke after, but the point is that he's just approaching the stage. You don't even know at that point, does she know him or anything else? And you just cannot do that. It is as simple as that. If Donald Trump was giving a speech and one of the cabinet members out of nowhere in the middle of the speech started approaching him, Secret Service would do something. They have SOPs, they have standard operating procedures that they must do, and I would say especially must do in a time of, let's say, heightened political animosity or whatever you might want to call it. Here's videos of Chuck Schumer, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete Buttigieg freaking out over what happened.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I just saw something that sickened my stomach. The manhandling of a United States senator. We need immediate answers to what the hell went on. I yield the floor.
Because if you could make Alex Padilla forcibly kneel before this executive, when does it stop? He's a United States senator. And if you could force him to kneel to his knees violently, when does it stop?
When Senator Padilla gets pushed, shoved, thrown to the handcuffed because he is asking questions, because he is engaging in the very oversight that senators are supposed to engage in, then what we're really talking about here is a Trump administration that just wants to shut down the ordinary functions of government. Look.
Hey, it's Pete. Like so many people around the country, I just saw something that made my stomach turn. Something I didn't think that I would see, even under this administration. A United States senator pushed to the ground and handcuffed after asking questions of a federal government official.
Wait a minute, Pete. You saw something that made your stomach turn. Was it a naked woman? Look, they need this. They need this. Look, you cannot just bum rush the stage. Just think about it this way. Chuck Schumer with his fake emotion. And as I said yesterday, he's literally turning into a turtle in front of our eyes. It happened to McConnell. McConnell went full turtle. And now Schumer's turning full turtle. I don't know what it is. You're in the swamp. Oh, that's what it is. You're literally in the swamp long enough, you become a turtle. That's interesting. We got to AI something with that. But imagine if Chuck Schumer was up there saying that, and then Ted Cruz started bum rushing the stage screaming. They would stop him. They would stop Ted Cruz from doing it. So the very protection they want for themselves is not what they're affording Kristi Noem there. Okay, so now what, of course, is the media going to do with this? Here's the headline from LA Times. First they came for the immigrants, then they took down our Latino senator. God, this is the same, is that the same paper, right? The LA Times, or was it that did the blackface of white supremacy with Larry Elder? Yeah, I mean, just incredible. They didn't come for the immigrants, you idiots. They're coming for the illegals. The illegals, are you able to make that distinction, you morons? But that's Los Angeles. That's Los Angeles. It is a crazy place that sane people should not live. You know where sane people should live that's not a crazy place? It's the free state of Florida. And as you know, we had DeSantis on 2 days ago, and the video went mega viral, him talking about how if protesters stop you in the street and they're illegally blocking you, you got to do what you got to do. They're impinging on your rights. Of course, that was misquoted and everything else by Newsweek and others, usual stuff. But then this video came out. If you think what DeSantis said, and DeSantis, you know, he's calm, he's collected, it's clear, he's a lawyer, he knows how to cleanly lay things out. Here is the sheriff of Brevard County, Florida, and listen to his comments as it pertains to protesters. I am so proud to be a Florida man that I am going to smoke a gator tonight. And what else do we do? I'm gonna go shoot some shit and rob a CBS. No, we don't do that. No, we don't do that here. All right, I'm gonna figure out some other Florida things in just a second, but watch this clip. It's amazing.
So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs. You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do it. What's his name?
Wayne Ivey.
Wayne Ivey from Brevard County. I mean, that is just phenomenal. That is how you do it. We will not put up with this bullshit. There are laws, and if you decide to take them into your own hands, you are going to pay the price. You know, he would, if they ever remake Fugitive. Remember Tommy Lee Jones in Fugitive? We're going to go to every outhouse, hen house, back house. That guy could do that. Like, yeah, I love how he also threw in just gratuitously the dog might bite you too. Like, I'm so proud to live in this place, and I'm going to fight for it every day for the rest of my life. I kid you not. It's just great. There is a way to do it. Serious people doing serious things. And again, in some sense, it's connected to what we did in the first half of the show. You don't just stop people by saying nice things. Oh, Ren, you want to get a nuclear bomb and you keep saying kill all the Jews and please don't get a bomb. Please. No. You lay down the law, and then you know what? They turn into a bunch of bitches, and that's what our protesters will be here in the free state of Florida. However, not in blue states. Listen to this from the Washington Examiner. 3 blue state governors were on defense for hours on Thursday during a marathon House Oversight Committee hearing where Republicans accused them of reckless immigration policies in their states. Governors Tim Walz, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul testified at the high-profile hearing that ran from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with few breaks. There were many fireworks as Republicans grilled their home state governors, and even some fireworks between the members themselves. So this is some great stuff. Nancy Mace just put the smackdown on Tim Walz. Tim Walz, who they brought in to be the vice president because he's a man and he know how to code switch, talk to man, command talk like this or something like that.
Are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Do you still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
I said I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you can't rate her role as border czar on a scale of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
What kind of operation were you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive.
Thank God he's president and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay.
I mean, that's just great by Mace. We're going to show you more in a second. But, like, he's just nothing. Like, these people are just nothing. By the way, a lot of people thought that the pin on his lapel there, that his pin was the Somali flag. It actually isn't the Somali flag. It's the Minnesota flag, which has just been altered to actually look more like the Somali flag. Ilhan Omar is also running her little Somaliland over in Minnesota. So they've got some big problems over there. But his just inability to answer a question. Yes, he was for abolishing ICE and he marched in a parade. Everybody saw it. I'm pretty sure we showed you the video of it. No, and he he has no recollection of ever mentioning anything about Joe Biden's cognitive ability with Kamala Harris. And they never discussed the border either. He thought, he can't even judge whether he thought any of her policies were good. She wanted a bipartisan bill, which we did not need, you dingbat, because we don't have it now and Donald Trump closed the border. Here's more of the smackdown.
Okay. Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah. Is bullying, my mom was a teacher. I'm a high school dropout. We can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as a teacher?
Is bullying okay, yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think there's a time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
Well, you're showing that the Democrat Party is a party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well,
what do you want me to say?
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I like that chick. Why don't we have her? We got to get her on the show. Look, yeah, he can't answer anything honestly, and it's the perfect, again, all of this is just the perfect ending. This is exactly what had to happen to the Democrats. In some sense, again, you can connect it to the mullahs. You guys just wanted to keep going and going and going. You just wanted to go and go and go. We're going to blow Israel off the map. We're going to get the weapons. We're going to take over all these countries with our proxy armies. We're just going to keep doing all of the bad things. And the Democrats have chosen the same thing. They have no moderating force. They don't know what to do. Pete's sick to his stomach because he saw a picture of a naked girl. There's a lot of problems with these people. They can't even figure out what a girl is. Like, I mean, it's just a lot. And now here is She's another all-star from the Republicans. The Republicans really do have a deep bench. Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman out of New York. Here she is trying to explain how the policies that Kathy Hochul has instituted in New York have actually led to the rapes of girls and destruction and all that. But more importantly than the substance of this, what is happening with Kathy Hochul's face? Let's analyze.
You know who Sakir Khan is. You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
He was an illegal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off, and he violently raped her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are high-profile cases. Yes. New Yorkers know about them, and you don't. So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive. This is in Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state.
I know it's easy to just make fun of how these people look, but I actually think there's a deeper thing going on there. What do you think Kathy Hochul cares more about as she sits like this, right? And with the Botox and whatever she's done and this and the filler and the amount of make. Can you just screenshot one and so I can... Like, it's just, what do you think she spends more time on during the day thinking about? Do you think it's about how her face looks and her hair and her lips and all of those things? Or it's whether she can make sure that the people of New York can live in safety? And it's obviously that she cares more. And even her body language like this. She obviously cares more about that. Like, go be that. Whatever you want to be. You want to be just one of these Beverly Hills women that looks completely insane and you live your entire life so you can go out and be seen at dinner. Like, look at her face. Jesus Christ. Okay, so how do we wrap up? This was a broad show today, I would say. It really is a great day. I don't want to end it on the negativity of Kathy Hochul's face. What I do want to end it on is the positivity of what Donald Trump has done here and has done so consistently by coming through with his promises, by giving people chances. Hey, do the deportations or we're going to take you out. Hey, give up the uranium or we're going to take you out. We've never seen this in modern political history before. A president who's been more consistent and going and following through with his word and doing it in a transparent nature. And yet still they want you to believe that he wants to be king. So of course this weekend there's this giant nonprofit called No Kings. It's appeared out of nowhere. My guess is they're going to find out that it's Soros funded. It's getting massive media coverage because they want protests in all 50 states. They're trying to pull them off here in Florida too. So here's Trump being asked on whether he wants to be a king.
Several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they call No Kings?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off. And after years, we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're not a king and he doesn't want to be a king. We were governed by a group of shadowy people who pretended that the president was competent and we didn't even know who they were. That's in some sense scarier than a king if you don't even know who's in charge. And here you have the guy that is working with the senators and is warning the governors, don't do that, do this, or I'm going to do this. It's all right in front of our faces. I think a lot of things have been exposed, and it's a good day for the country. I thank you guys for watching. We will be doing a post-game show on this Friday, RubinReport.locals.com in just moments. And next week, I think it's happening on Monday. I'm pretty sure, but maybe they're going to be angry at me for saying it. The pre-release of Dave Rubin's Tequila. Ooh, I almost said the name. On Monday. Fully available on June 26th. I'm very excited. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing. All of those good things. Quick cold close, and we'll see you on the other side. Ciao.
I was murdered. You were murdered. Okay, you obviously weren't murdered because you're alive and you're basically intact. You weren't murdered.